There's also a challenge here, and the challenge, and MOP, we talk about these 6 areas that portfolio management needs to coordinate with. But I kind of look at it in this term. Really, we've got 3 communities. We've got the strategic management, or the strategic planning community, the economists, the finance guys, the policy planners, the guys that come up with the idea that we're going to do, this will be our strategy, or this will be our policy. We've then got the change management, or the project management, or the program management community, which is responsible for the delivery of change initiatives designed, hopefully, to achieve those policy objectives or the strategic objectives. And then we have the kind of business as usual, the operational delivery that has to soak up all that business change the way it works to achieve those strategic objectives, those benefits that we've planned to deliver. Trying to get those 3 communities to talk is incredibly difficult. Many organisations struggle. A few years ago, I ran a session, or was involved in a session, and I had to facilitate the group, the change management group, the project and program managers. And I said to them, look, at least in theory, guys, what you're doing is you're delivering projects and programs that are supposed to be achieving some strategic objectives. Has anyone with a strategy ever come and asked you, said, look, we designed the strategy, did it work? And they said no. And in any case, they said, if we had to, we wouldn't know where these people live. We know they're in the building somewhere, but we don't know if they're on floor 20 or 24 or 18. So these committees don't seem to talk. The strategy guys do their strategy, the delivery does theirs, and then we shut the project and program down before the benefits have been realised, and then it's the kind of business as usual that has to kind of soak it all up, and they just say, well, why did no one ever tell us this was coming? So it's a common problem, and we see it in many organisations. So we've got to kind of break these boundaries down, these barriers down, and get these communities to talk. So what makes a difference, therefore? So this is not about necessarily about, it's about process, it's about governance, it's about culture, it's about behaviour, but ultimately it's an active process. This is not about sitting in your office, drawing up a list of projects and programmes, doing the cut-off point, and then say these are the projects, and then we wait till they deliver. It's an active process. It should be evidence-based, we should be hungry for evidence. How well are we doing? What are the costs? What are the benefits? What are the risks? So evidence-based. It should be about collecting data on how well we're performing. But it should be fast and frugal. This is not about slowing everything down, trying to collect all the information that could be collected. It's about making decisions quickly, but frugally. In other words, focus on apply the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. You get 80% of the impact from 20% of the input. So what are the factors that really matter? So this is something I'm going to explore in the next section. What are the factors that really drive success? I mean, to look at that, should be benefits led or strategically led, because that's what the portfolio exists to deliver. So we should understand the benefits from our projects and programs and the strategic impacts that we're anticipating. And it needs to be, I mentioned disciplined, I mentioned Bob Cooper, the difference between the winners and losers. The winners stick to their process, the losers don't. The losers are, they're not disciplined, they allow people to bypass the process. We've got to be a lot more disciplined. And this is just a piece of research, and as luck would have it, I printed out the research last night to read on the plane, and somewhere between home and here in Utrecht, I've lost a bit of paper. But so bear with me. The numbers I can't remember exactly, but what the research found, it was looking at why has that top line there. We have Chevron, we have Royal Dutch Shell as the brown line, and the red line is BP. I'm afraid lagging seriously behind. And what they were saying was, look, even if you discount the Horizon disaster that BP suffered from, they would still be way, way, way below where Royal Dutch Shell is, and even further behind Chevron. And the research was looking at what does Chevron do that means they've outperformed the market? And they had 4 possible reasons. They said, look, either we drill better wells. And they said, well, no, everyone's pretty good at that, or it's luck. And they said, well, no, over a long period of time, we've outperformed the market. So they didn't think it was luck. What they thought, the 2 factors that made the difference is what's called the Chevron way. In other words, they operate as one company, and they make decisions in the interests of the company as a whole. And secondly, their disciplined approach to investment management, managing their investments or their projects and programs, their oil wells, as investments. And so if there isn't a return, they get out, and they get out quickly. And I've met a guy who works for Chevron, and that he kind of said, well, in a way that he kind of recognised that that picture that was painted in the published research. So that was encouraging. What it also reminds me of is a piece of research by McKinsey's, and again, I can't remember the exact figures, but McKinsey's were looking at the funding given to strategic business units in companies, and what they found was the number one determinant of how much money a strategic business unit gets is what they had last year. The correlation year on year on the market as a whole, I think, was 0.91. So, and I think 1/3 of the companies, the correlation was 0.99. So everyone gets basically what, everyone gets what they got last year, plus 1% or if times are good, we all get a 1 or 2% increase. If times aren't so good, we get a 2 or 3% cut. But it's just that year on year. And what McKinsey said was, look, if that's the case, if everyone gets the same funding they've always had, what was the point of all that strategic planning? All these organisations go through enormous amounts of strategic planning, and then everyone gets the same funding they've had before. Now, the opposite side of that is McKinsey found about 1/3 of the companies had far lower correlation year on year. In other words, they move the money around in their organisation. They open up new functions. They open up new divisions. The bad news is, over 3 or 4 years, they underperform the market because they're setting up new businesses. They're investing for future growth. Over the longer period, I think it was over a 15-year period, they outperformed the market, I think by memory, by 40%, and the chief execs kept their jobs. So you've got organisations which survive, which prosper, and where senior managers keep their jobs when they're able to be a lot more disciplined in the way they manage their investment funds. So I think it's a good point. It's a very important point, and it's something we can explore as we go forward from here. But that's the end of my first section, Introduction to Portfolio Management. Please join me as we are now, in the next section, we're going to explore the portfolio definition cycle and doing the right things. Cheers, guys.